Today we're going to start at the beginning with some basic fundamentals on container gardening. Let's get started with this week's Tuesday tip, Containers 101. Hi, I'm Amanda with the University of Missouri Extension Master Gardeners in Greater Kansas City. While it is easy to pick a container, buy a bag of soil and plant a veggie or flower, for real success, you need to pay attention to a few garden principles. In every aspect of gardening, you need to look at our environment, and container gardening is no different. Ask yourself, is this the right spot? Is your area in full sun, sunny at least 6 hours, shady, hit by sprinklers, on concrete, dry, hot, or windy? And I'd like to add one more environmental component, you. Do you check your containers every day, making sure they are perfectly watered, trimmed up, and tidy? Or are you too busy and might not get to your container? Do you need containers that you can move around, or can they stay in one place? Almost anything can be used for a container, so get creative. Consider what the container is made of. There are all sorts of materials. Resin, glazed ceramics, and pottery do not breathe and retain moisture, which might just fit your busy lifestyle. Fabric, wood, unglazed clay breathe the best and mean they dry out faster. Now, to choose the container size. This can be the most confusing, as plant requirements might be listed as quarts, gallons, or inches. And to add to the confusion, another vendor's 5-gallon might be another vendor's 10-gallon. Generally speaking, small plants like herbs, lettuce, and leafy greens will work in a 10 to 12-inch pot, possibly called 2 to 3 gallons. Medium plants like peppers and green beans should go in a little bit larger 12 to 14-inch, 3 to 5-gallon pots. The larger vegetables like tomatoes, eggplants, or fruits need a larger pot, the 16 to 18 range, called 5 or 10-gallon pots. Complete garden charts are in the Show More section below. 5 to 6 single flowers for ornamentals work well in the smallest 10-inch container, or depending on your design, you will be planting in any of the container sizes. Just a word of caution. For those smaller plants, you may have noticed our chart starts at 10-inch pots. Smaller than 10 inches can be whimsical and appropriate for your plant, but hot Missouri summers can make smaller containers a real challenge. By now, you probably have an idea of what container you want to use. No matter the style or material you choose, be sure that there are drainage holes so the water can move out of the pot. Selecting a soil mix can be as daunting as choosing a container. Containers severely impede drainage and aeration to the roots, so the soil will make a huge difference in how well the plant grows. There are good soil mixes that you can buy and use right out of the bag. Typically, they are soils, lightweight, don't compact, and free of weeds, seeds, and diseases. They are probably a little more costly. Soilless potting mixes are a little more lacking in the ability to hold nutrients. You will need to fertilize more. If you let the soilless mixes dry out, they are difficult to rehydrate. Should you want to have a little more control of the soil mix, you can mix your own with the ratios of 1 part garden soil or blend to compost the soil, 1 part coir, 1 part perlite or vermiculite. If you're adding more coir or perlite, your soil mix is lighter. If your plants need less moisture, use perlite. It will not soak up the water and be drier. If you need more moisture retention, you will want to use vermiculite. The soil you dig out of your yard and garden often is too heavy and compacted and is not recommended to use for your soil mix. You may have noticed your mix called for coir, not peat. Producing peat comes at a high price to the environment, and the value of peat in the ability to lighten the soil and hold moisture. Coir performs as well as peat. It is made out of discards of coconut shells and is an excellent sustainable alternative. We have held the belief that we can save a few dollars on our soil mix by taking up some space and improving the drainage in the bottom of our containers with rocks, aluminum cans, or packing peanuts, or old milk jugs, or old pool noodles. And Marcia's here to explain why this is a bad idea.
Hi, I'm Marcia. And while we don't want to get too deep into soil physics, let's start at the top. When we pour water through rock, it goes right through. So naturally, we think when we pour water into our container garden, it's going to do the same. But water doesn't move like that through your soil mix. It first moves by capillary action, like a sponge wicking up water without regard to gravity. Like the sponge, soils slowly wick the moisture across the surface and into its pores. When you water a potting mix, the capillary action occurs without regard to gravity until the soil is saturated, and only then will the gravity take over to move the moisture down. The moisture will stay put at the lowest layer of the soil until becoming oversaturated and finally drips. Let's look at the sponge. This sponge is totally saturated, yet it does not continue to drip. The water is staying put in that bottom half inch or so of the sponge. This saturated layer of soil is called the perched water table. Based on our experiment with our sponge, a really interesting fact is that the same potting mix will have the same depth of its perched water table, whether that mix is in a 16-inch container or a 6-inch container. The finer your soil mix, the more wicking action, and the deeper the perched water table. You can reduce the depth of the perched water table by adding coir, perlite, or vermiculite to incorporate more air pockets to move the moisture out by gravity. With the perched water table in mind, you can see how adding a thick layer of filler in the bottom of your pot simply moves that saturated soil closer to the plant roots. If your container is the proper size for your plants, it's not worth the risk of having that saturated soil against your plant roots. So fill your whole container with your potting mix. If you need to reduce the size of your container, a good option is to use a pot in pot method. You can use a lower pot, your decorative pot, with filler in the bottom, and then a second planting pot inside your spacer pot. Now you know the science of the perched water table. Fill your planting pots fully with your potting mix. Back to Amanda.
And we're ready to plant. Always use gardening gloves when working with potting mix. Bacteria and fungi are a real danger. Young plants make it hard to not overcrowd. Give your plants plenty of room. Remember, there are guide sheets in the Show More section below to help you determine the plant count. Generally, you will use one large veggie like a tomato in a 16-inch diameter container, or a nice arrangement of 5 to 6 ornamentals per a 10 to 12-inch diameter container. Gently remove the plant out of the plastic pot. Tease apart the bottom roots. Dig your hole and press the soil mix around the plant. Water immediately after planting. The surrounding soil may recede. Check and add more soil if necessary to prevent root exposure. Check your plant daily. Watering needs change as plants settle in and the temperatures rise. Start fertilizing 2 weeks after planting. Use a good all-purpose fertilizer with higher amounts of phosphorus and potassium for blooms and veggie production. As always, follow label directions. Planting container gardens can be fun for the whole family. We hope you enjoyed today's Tuesday tip. Find the planting guides and all the research links in the Show More section below. If you liked our video, be sure to give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on our next video. We will see you in the garden.